Hello. I can't see.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Caregiver Chronicles, Friday Night Live, Ask Dr. Yvette Anything. Can you hear me okay? Just want to make sure you can hear me. Great, great. So tonight is very important. Basically, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about Caregiver Chronicles. Caregiver Chronicles is a 16 module online course regarding caregiving. It covers all aspects of caregiving from the onset of your loved one's illness all the way until they recover from that illness or until they transition home to be with the Lord. And so as a caregiver for 9 years for my mother, I learned every aspect of caregiving. And so at this point in my life, I'm sharing this information with others. And so I will share information about the website so you can go and look at it and see all of the information that's available to you, as well as private consultations. So tonight we are going to talk about legal matters. And the reason being is that when we are caregivers, it is so important that we have legal matters in place to protect not only the patient, but yourself as the caregiver as well. And so tonight we're going to talk about several documents. We're going to actually go over those documents. And if you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate. You can unmute yourself and talk if you will, okay, if you choose to do so. So thank you for joining us tonight. And then I also want to introduce Mrs. Holt, who is co-host for us tonight. And Mrs. Holt, if you want to unmute yourself and just say a word, if you will. You're muted still. You're still muted. Let me unmute you. Maybe I need to unmute you. Are you okay now? There you go.
Yes.
Okay. Hi.
Good evening, ladies. Hello. How are you today? I'm very excited about this topic because I think it's one of the most difficult aspects of caregiving, to talk to people about giving a person, somebody in their life, directives about, what they would like to have happen. So it's a pleasure for me to be on with all of you ladies, because I'm sure your insight is invaluable, and I can't wait to hear what you want to add to the conversation, because I know that taking it back to the people that I help and do business with will be invaluable. So I'm excited about tonight's show, and I'm going to let Yvette get us started.
Okay, thank you so much. So there's a person on the chat on the line with us, and she's saying she can't see anything. You can't see my face, or you can't see anyone, or what are you seeing? Nothing? Oh my goodness, because I can see you. That's Miss Marcia.
Yeah, I see everything.
Yeah, I see you as well. So I don't know why you can't see. Do you have a area at the top box to the right of your screen there? It says unmute, and it also will say share video or show your video or something of the sort. Do you see that? There's 3 dots there. You can click on those 3 dots, and it says either stop video or start video. You just, okay, so your video just went off. It went black. Still, I can barely hear you. Let's see. You got to unmute yourself. Do you know how to unmute yourself?
Yeah,
yes, I can do that.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
But I can't see anyone. I don't know why.
Okay, so
yeah, 'cause I see you.
yeah, we can see you. I don't know why either. Let me see. Ask to unmute. Stop video.
Oh, there you are. I just saw you.
You can't. It came in. You froze on it. So
Oh, there she is.
You might have a bad connection because you're frozen. You're freezing a little bit. So okay, so we're going to keep going. We're going to get started because we have others on the line also. If you want to try to hang up and call back in, Mrs. Marcia, that would be great. See if that'll help with the connection. It might be your Wi-Fi or connection as well. Okay.
I can see her though. I can see her.
Okay.
Well, I could up until now.
So let's get started. We have some other ladies on the line with us as well. And so I want to thank you for joining us tonight. Ladies, we're going to get started at this time. So the first document that I want to go over with you is an advance directive. Because a lot of times when you have a loved one or yourself, if you will, you have an advance directive. If you don't have that document in place, then it doesn't determine what your wishes are. And so in order for that to be established, that document needs to be completed. It also needs to be legalized. It needs to be signed by 2 people as witnesses once it's completed, or it needs to be notarized by a professional either way you can legalize that document. So I'm going to share my screen now. I have a document here that I want to share. So give me just a moment here. Let's see. Oh boy, I clicked on it. I should have shared first, huh? Let's see. 1 second, please, ladies. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen now. And there it is. Okay. All right. So can you see the document on the screen now?
Yes.
Okay. 1 moment. Let me get rid of some other stuff that's just here that shouldn't be. Okay, all this other stuff's popping up now. So let me just maximize this document. All right, there. Can you see it now? All right,
Yes.
so it says California Advanced Healthcare Directive. So when you're filling this document out, if your loved one or yourself are filling this document out, you want to make sure that you know what that person's wishes are, because if you don't, then you won't be able to make decisions for them when they, when the time arises. And so at this point, we're going to go over this document. I'm trying to move all you guys up to the top. You can still see, but you can't see each other right now. But since I have this document on the screen, I want you to be able to really see it, okay? Okay. So excuse me for the technology sharing issue here. All right. Trying to get everybody up at the top of the screen so I can share. Let's see if I can do that. Okay.
Well, I can see that it's very big on my screen.
It is.
The document, yeah.
Okay, good. So let's go down and take a look at this document. This is a California Healthcare Directive. And if you're interested in this document, I can send it to you. Just type in the comment or the chat that you are interested in getting a copy and put your email address there as well. I also have a gift for those who are attending tonight. So if you type your email in the chat box, if you're listening on Facebook Live, you can type your email in the comments section and I will make sure you get the gift that I had mentioned earlier today. So this is form. It's 3 parts to this form. And you can choose a healthcare agent. You can make your own healthcare choices. And you can also sign the form, and it must be signed before it can be used or before it's legalized. So you can fill it out part 1, part 2, or both parts. You can only fill out the parts that you want. So if you want only to have a healthcare agent, which is someone that's going to make decisions for you, if you are unable to, then you would fill out that part of the form, okay? So we're going to go down and go through the actual form. So here we go. We're starting here. What do I do with the form after I fill it out? After you fill this document out, you want to share it with your doctor, your loved ones, your nurse, your social worker, your family, your friends, whomever you know will carry out your wishes if you are unable to, okay? And then sometimes this document can either take place immediately when you sign it, or it can take place when you're not able to make decisions. And you also have the option to put that on your document as well, okay? So if you change your mind, you can always update this form and do another one. If you have questions about the form, you can take it to your doctor, your nurse, your social worker, family or friends can help you with filling this form out, okay? So part 1, you want to choose the person who you want to be your healthcare agent. So who's going to make decisions for you if you're unable to. Now it says, whom should I choose to be my healthcare agent? It could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be anyone that you trust that's going to make the decisions that you put on this document. Because sometimes you can select a person that you're not sure about them and you're not sure if they're going to follow through on your wishes. And if they don't follow through on your wishes, then they're going to do whatever they want to do if they are allowed to do that. So you want to be very careful who you select as your healthcare agent. Now, if you choose a healthcare agent and if you're too sick to make a healthcare agent decision, then the next of kin is going to be the person that will make decisions for you. So if you're married, then your husband or wife, whomever, would be the decision maker. If you're not married, then you have children, your children will be the decision maker, and so on. So basically the next of kin will be established at that time if there has not been a legal arrangement made, like a marriage or something of the sort. Okay, so now it says, what kind of decisions can my healthcare agent make? They can agree to say no, to change or stop or choose. The doctors, nurses, whoever this person is, they can choose your doctors, your nurses, anyone who is going to make decisions about your healthcare. They can pick what hospital you're going to go to. So it's important that you talk to that person and let them know, these are the things that I want to happen if I get to a point where I can't make decisions. They should know what your wishes are, even if it's not on paper or even if it is on paper. You still want them to be familiar with what your wishes are so that they won't have a question about trying to figure out what to do. And a lot of times when you put this responsibility on someone, it's very stressful because they're trying to figure out what your wishes are and they're trying to make sure they do the right thing. But if you haven't put this in writing, then they have to kind of go on their own thought process about how they want to handle this. So now let's go on. Other decisions your agent can make for you: life support treatments. So they can determine if you're going to get CPR, and we're also actually going to go over a POLST also, which is a physician's order for life-sustaining treatment. And that's basically called a DNR, which determines if you're going to be resuscitated or not. So if they're going to give you CPR, if they're going to intubate you, and intubation means basically putting a tube down your throat or your throat so that you breathe basically through that tube. So those are the kinds of decisions that the agent that you select will make. So you want to make sure this person is someone that you can trust, okay? They'll be able to make decisions about a breathing machine or a ventilator. They will be able to determine if you're going to go on dialysis. So if you have kidney failure and you decide, I don't want dialysis, you must put this in writing, because if that person who makes decision does not know that and it's not in writing, they may likely put you on to dialysis, which means you'll be going to the clinic 3 days a week to have your blood filtered, dialysis treatment, or you will have the dialysis treatment at home if you choose to do so. So that's something that you want to make sure they are aware of. Feeding tubes, those are some of the things that they will decide. Blood transfusions. I know some religious beliefs don't want you to have a blood transfusion. I believe it's the Jehovah's Witness is one of them. Some religious beliefs don't want you to have that. So it's important that you make your wishes known to your person that's going to make decisions. Surgeries, medicine, end of life care. If you might die soon, your healthcare agent can call in the spiritual leader. If you have a religious belief, if you have a pastor, a minister that you are affiliated with, or if you have a specific religious belief, you want them to know who that is and what that religious belief is. So that way they can reach out to that person if you're at the end stages of your life or if you're in the process of transitioning. They will decide if you die at home or in the hospital. They will make a decision. Sometimes people go home on hospice if they're at a end stage disease. And so they may go to the residence, or they may stay in the hospital depending on the level of care that's necessary, or they may go to a skilled nursing facility as well. Okay, so we're going to go down a little bit more here. So here's the area where you start filling it out. Your healthcare agent's information is going to go here. This is a person that's going to be the one to make decisions. And then you want to have also a backup person, so that if that person that you have designated to make decisions for you is not available to do so, or if that person decides, I can't do it, I got my own stressors in my life, I have so many things going on in my world that I just cannot make decisions for my loved one right now, I'm going to pass it on to you. So the second person is going to be the person that will make decisions if the main agent that's selected or designated is not able to do so. So this information would be here for the second person that would make the decisions. So now here's the area that I mentioned earlier. You're going to put an X here to the sentence that you agree with. And this is going to be my, if say for instance, I fill this form out and I decide I want my caregiver or loved one or the agent to make decisions for me right now, or I want them to make decisions for me later. So what has happened with me, with my mom, and I don't know if you all know, my mother had Alzheimer's for 9 years and I was her caregiver. And so when she filled out this type of paperwork, she allowed me to make the decisions immediately, but she was of sound mind when she did so. So it was okay to do that. So any decision that was made, I made it. But I always made, of course, the decisions that were in her best interest. But you want to be very careful if you fill out this part, because it will determine if that person is going to make decisions now, or if they're going to make decisions when you're not able to. So that's a critical piece of this form. So I just wanted to bring that into your attention. Okay, so let's go down a little more. Part 2, make your own healthcare choices. So now think about what makes your life worth living. So put an X by, it says put an X next to all the sentences you most agree with. So my life is only worth living if I can talk to family or friends, wake up from a coma, feed, bathe, or dress myself or take care of myself, be free from pain, live without being hooked on machines, or I'm not sure. So these are all the options that you have. Maybe you're not sure when you fill this form out. You're not sure if you want to live where, at the point in time where you get sick, where you are in a coma. If you're in a coma, do you want them to go ahead and decide if they're going to take you off of life support? These are all the decisions that you can make, but you don't have to make them at that time. So if you put I'm not sure, then you have designated an agent, and for some reason or another you get sick, then that agent will be the one to make that decision. But if you designate here what your wishes are, then you can have some control over what happens if you become ill. Okay, so let's go down a little more. And then it says, my life is always worth living no matter how sick I am. In other words, don't pull the plug on me, okay? Keep me alive. Don't do anything. Do any of you have any questions so far? If you do have questions, please unmute yourself. Let me know. Raise your hand or unmute and say something, okay? If you have some questions, we can stop and talk about it. Okay, so now, my life is always worth living no matter how sick I am. So if I am dying, it is important for me to be at home, in the hospital. I'm not sure. You always have that I'm not sure option. That's the blanket one. So if you don't want to make that decision at that time, it's okay, but you still want to fill this document out. So heaven forbid you get sick or someone gets sick, they will have the agent in place at least, and then that agent will make the decisions. But if you're interested in dying at home, then that might be possible. But then it may be a situation where your medical condition won't allow you to be at home. Maybe you need a skilled nursing facility. You need suctioning. You have bed sores. You need turning every 2 hours. All of those things. So you would determine at that time how you want to fill out this form. Is religious or spirituality important to you? That's an option for you as well. And most people would say yes, or their spiritual belief would be input here. And then what should your doctors know about your religion or spirituality? And it's not just your doctor, because whoever is the agent that you designated, you would also want to put down what you want them to know about your spirituality. And you would also talk to them as well if you're able to. Okay, so let's go down a little bit more. This is about life support treatment. Okay, so you're going to put an X next to the sentence that you most agree with. If I'm so sick that I may die soon, these are the options. I want you to try all life support treatments that my doctors think might help. If the treatments do not work and there is little hope of getting better, I want to stay on life support machines. So these are options that you have. Try all life support treatments that my doctor think might help. If the treatments do not work and there is little hope of getting better, I do not want to stay on life support. So you have the option to stay on life support, even if your situation may not get better, or you have the option to come off of life support if your situation may not get better. So those are the options that you can fill out. And you can always say, I'm not sure as well. And then here's another option. Try all life support treatments that my doctors think might help, but not these treatments. Mark what you do not want. So if you don't want CPR, dialysis, breathing machines, feeding tubes, blood transfusions, or medicine, these are all the areas you would need to check so that they would know what you do not want if you do get to a point where you are unable to make decisions for yourself. And then the last one here, I believe, is I do not want any life support treatments. I want my healthcare agent to decide for me, and then I'm not sure. So those are all the options you have. I believe it's 6 different options. I think my suggestion is that you try to make efforts to put something, because I want my healthcare agent to decide for me. It's kind of difficult because you'll put a person in a situation where they have to decide. And I'm telling you that because I was at that point where mom had given me the option to make those decisions for her. And so when she got to a point where she had pneumonia, and she was, at that time, she was in a vegetative state, but she was still cognitively sound. She was able to respond to me, and I took her to the hospital. And I asked the doctor. The doctor told me, he said, "Oh, she might not live." And I said, "Okay, doctor, I understand that." And he said, "Well, what do you want to do? You want to give her the morphine drip?" And I think Ms. Holt heard me talk about this before. The morphine drip means that they're going to give her morphine. They're not going to do anything else to sustain her life. They're going to allow her to transition. And so at that point, I told her, "Well, let me think about it, doctor, for a minute, you know." So I went into mom's room and I said, "Mom," and she responded to me. And when she responded to me, I went back and I told the doctor, I said, "You know what, doctor, go ahead and give her the G tube." I said, because she's able to respond to me. And because I had to live with myself. And I knew if I said, give her the morphine drip, then I was releasing her at that point. I was saying, let her go. And so I just didn't want to carry that with me. And so I asked, the doctor to go ahead and give her the G tube. She lasted about 6 more months after that. And then she went on home to be with the Lord. So I just wanted to share that with you. So it's not always the easy thing to do when somebody says, you make decisions for me. Because if you make a decision, then you're going to have to live with that decision. So please remember that.
Now, can you explain because I've never heard the term G-tube. So can you explain what that is?
Yeah, it's a feeding tube. When the person is not, because mom, at that point, mom was at a vegetative state. And so she was not swallowing. She was not, drinking, doing anything orally or her throat. So we had I believe a respiratory therapist came out to do an assessment on her to determine, what her ability was. And once they determined that ability, they said, well, she's not able to swallow, she's not able to drink. So you're going to do one or two things. You're either going to give her the morphine drip, or we're going to put the G tube in her stomach to help to feed her, through the G tube in her stomach. And so that was a decision I had to make because mom hadn't designated that or like this form. And so I decided after I went to talk to her or went to see her, she was in the hospital, and I said, "Mom," and she responded to me. And I told the doctor, I said, "Give her the G tube." I said, because if she hadn't responded to me, if she was totally out of it, not able to communicate at all, not even able to say huh to me like she knew it was me, because she knew my voice, of course. I told him, I said, give her the G tube. So she lasted 6 months after that, and then she went on home to be with the Lord. But the G tube is a feeding tube that is put into the stomach. You have to learn how to use it, and I did learn how to use it. You have to draw, and all of the things that you need to know. So they sent home health out to the house, and I learned how to, feed her through that G tube. They sent all the formula every week. They would send cases of formula to the house, so we would feed her that way. And then once you have that opening, it's like an opening in your stomach, because it's always a hole there because they're feeding her that way. A lot of times it sets up infection. And so she at some point got, infection, she got pneumonia, and then she finally passed on. But I had to do what was best for her and myself as well, because I had to live with that decision. And so I just wanted to share that with you, ladies. Does that sound okay? Do you guys understand that okay? All right, good. Thank you. So now let's go on and look here. Okay, so I do not want life support treatment. I want my healthcare agent to make decisions for me, and I'm not sure. So that's the 6 categories there that you have the option for. And then here we're at part 2, make your own healthcare choices. So now your doctors may ask about organ donation and autopsy after you die. Please tell us your wishes. So at that point, you want to put an X next to the sentence you most agree with. So donating, organ donations, donating, giving your organs that can help save lives. If they're healthy organs, of course. I want to donate my organs. You can check that. Which organs do you want to donate? You can put that information as well. Any organs, or which, your kidney or whatever you choose to donate. You can fill that part out. I do not want to donate my organs as an option. I want my healthcare agent to decide. So that will put the ball back into your agent's court again. And so that would be a kind of a difficult decision for me if I had to make it. So you always want to try to fill those things out if you're able to. I want my healthcare agent to decide. I'm not sure. So you can always say, I'm not sure. And then if something happens, then that person will make the decision who's been designated. An autopsy can be done after death to find out why someone died. It is done by surgery. It can take a few days. You can put, if you want an autopsy, I do not want an autopsy. And an autopsy, just in case you don't understand what that is, that means that after you pass, they're going to do some investigation on your body to determine how you died. If you had a heart attack, if you had a stroke, what the cause of death is. So they will make sure that they determine what that cause is. So that way your family can have some resolve, and then it would be reflected on your death certificate. I may want an autopsy if there are questions about my death. Now that's probably the most common one, because if you don't know why a person died, of course you want your family to know. So they'll have some resolve or have some closure, if you will. And so that's important as well. So I want my healthcare agent to decide, and then I'm not sure. Of course, that option is there as well. So let's see, what should your doctors know about how you want your body to be treated after you die? So in this area, if you already have made arrangements like a mortuary or something of that sort, if you already have a plan about who will pick your body up or who's going to be the one to embalm your body, if you choose to do so, if embalming is something that some religious beliefs don't believe in believe in embalming. But whatever you want to happen with your body after you pass, you would write it in this area. Now, this is not a area that, there's other legal documents as well that you can put that information in, but this is an area for your doctors to know. So say, for instance, if you're in the hospital and you pass, then the doctors would know, well, we need to call this mortuary because this is what, is on the paperwork, okay? All right, so let's go down to part 3. So this is the signing of this form. Before this form can be used, you must sign this form. You have to have 2 witnesses to sign the form. If you do not have witnesses, you need a notary public. A notary public's job is to make sure it is your signature on that form, okay? So here's the area where you would sign and date the form. You would print your name as well, and then your address at that time. Your witnesses must be over 18 years of age. So the legalization of this form can happen in 2 ways, okay? It can be the 2 witnesses to legalize it, or it can be a notary to legalize it. The 2 witnesses cannot be the one who will make decisions for you. They cannot be the healthcare agent. So it says it here, your witnesses cannot be your healthcare agent. They cannot be your healthcare provider. And they cannot work at the place that you live. If you live in a nursing home, go to page 12. So we'll go and look at that as well, okay? Also, one witness cannot be related to you in any way, and they cannot benefit financially or get any money or property after you die. So it's very important that if you do decide to legalize this document by having 2 witnesses, then you need to make sure that none of these options are prevalent within the witness that you select. So because if it is, then other family members or whomever can contest this document. So you want to be careful to make sure that everything is decent and in order with regard to this document. Okay, let's see, witnesses need to sign their names on the next page. So let's go down. If you do not have witnesses, take this form to a notary public and have them sign on page 11. Okay, so part 3, sign the form. Have your witnesses sign their names and write the date. By signing, I promise that my name, the witness name would go there. Sign this form while I watch. They were thinking clearly and were not forced to sign it. So the witness is basically attesting to the fact that the person or the patient or the loved one who is signing this form saying they're giving this agent authority to someone else was of sound mind at that time. They were able to make their own decisions. And then also too, sometimes you have to get a doctor to determine if that person is able to make any legal decisions. So you might want to ask, or if you have some question, or if there is some question about it, the doctor, the person's primary physician, would be the person that would say, so-and-so is unable to make decisions at this time. And they will also do a capacity declaration, which is a document to say that you are or are not able to make decisions at a specific point in time. Now, sometimes when a person is ill, they may have a UTI, a urinary tract infection, and they become cognitively unstable for a brief period of time until that UTI is treated. And then once that UTI is treated with antibiotics or whatever the doctor decides, and they're back to their normal self, then they can make decisions. But the doctor will decide those things, okay? So I just wanted to bring that up as well, okay? All right, so let's go down here. Okay, I also promised that I know them or they could prove who they are. I'm 18 years of age and older. So these are all of the things that have to be uh, a part of the person who's witnessing. They have to be able to attest to these things. I'm not their healthcare agent. I'm not their healthcare provider. I do not work for their healthcare provider. I do not work where they live. So say for instance, and I worked in many hospitals throughout Southern California, and at one of the places where I won't say which hospital, but one of the places where I worked, there was a lady who needed to get this document done. And she actually had some of the staff at the facility or at the place where she lived or where she was at in the hospital complete this document as witnesses. But it's not appropriate to do that when you're working in the hospital. It's not appropriate for the healthcare staff to do this document. So I just wanted to bring that up as well. So now there's witness number one. There's the signature, date, signature, print your name, address at that time, and then witness number two. And once all of these areas are met and these two witnesses have signed and dated this form and put their information in, then this document becomes legal. You do not need a notary for this, okay? If all the legal parameters are met, you do not need a notary for this. But if you don't have the two witnesses, so basically it's saying here now you're done with the form. But if you don't have the two witnesses, then you want to get a notary to fill this form out for you. So you will take this form to a notary public. If two witnesses have not signed this form, you want to bring your photo ID, a driver's license or passport. So a legal document showing who you are, the person who's, now this is the actual patient we're talking about now. They would need to either take this document to a notary, or they could have a mobile notary come out. There are mobile notaries that will visit your residence. Okay. And then this is a certificate of acknowledgement of the notary public. So that's the person who would notarize and legalize this document for you. So let's go down. You are now done with this form. Share this form with your doctors, nurses, social workers, friends, and your family. Talk with them about your choices. That's so important because there might be some question or you may have left some things up to the person who's going to make decisions. Talk to them and let them know. Now, for those who are in a nursing home residents, and sometimes your loved one may be in a nursing home or yourself, you might be in a nursing home. You give this form to your nursing home director only if you live in a nursing home. California law requires nursing home residents to have the nursing home ombudsman as a witness of advance directive. So the ombudsman, are any of you familiar with the ombudsman and who that person is? No? Okay, so the ombudsman is a person who basically works for the state, and they are basically an overseer of various types of nursing homes. So having worked in a nursing home as well, there was an ombudsman. She would come by every now and then. She would come and check the place out. They were on edge when she would come because she was coming to, she could shut a place down. She could report you, all those kind of things. And so, but anyway, they're basically the governing body over nursing homes. And so if you ever have a complaint, or right now with the coronavirus, there's a lot of people in nursing home that can't go see their loved ones. Their loved ones in a nursing home, they can't go and see them. And so I've even told some people that asked me, I said, well, call the ombudsman, if they're not letting you see your loved one, especially if they got dementia or Alzheimer's. Because when a person has dementia or Alzheimer's, familiarity is critical. And so if they're not seeing their loved ones, if they're not seeing their children, if they're not seeing anybody they know, and they also are in this strange place, then a lot of times they're going to decline. And so that's really important. So if you ever have a situation where you have someone in a nursing home, always call the ombudsman if you have a complaint. And trust me, they will investigate it and find out what's going on, okay? All right, so let's go down. Any questions so far? I've been rattling off. Any questions, any comments? All right, anything that you think yes, ma'am. Can you unmute you? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, my question is, this form is going to be different from state to state, is that correct?
Yes, this is California's form, and I can get whatever state you're in, we can always get the form for that state. So just type in the chat your information, what state you're in, and then
Okay,
email, and we'll make sure you get the form that you need.
okay, thank
Okay,
you.
what state are you in, if I may ask?
North Carolina.
All right, great to have you tonight. Thank you for
Thank you.
joining us. Okay.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you can always, any state, and let me just say this as well, Caregiver Chronicles covers all states. So it's not just for California, we're in all states. We cover everywhere, okay? All right,
Okay.
so now let's go down a little bit. California law requires nursing home residents to have a nursing home. Okay, I read that already. Statement of the patient advocate or ombudsman. Here's the ombudsman statement. I declare, so the ombudsman, if the person is in a nursing home, they have to witness this document. Now, this is California's law. Now, this may not be in other states, but we can also get that information and make sure whatever document is available in your state, then we will get that document, and then that document should be explicit and say what the parameters are in that state with regard to the legalization of this document, okay? All right, so now the ombudsman signs it, they print the name and address and all of that information is there. And so now we are at the end of the advance directive. And if you are interested in another state, if you're in another state, you'd like the document for your state, type it in the chat or on the, if you're on Facebook Live, type it in the comments section, what state you're in, send your email address, and we will make sure that you get that information, okay? All right, so now I'm gonna stop my screen share and we are going to go to the next document that we have. And that-
I have a,
yes,
I have a quick comment that I'd like to make on this document. Because
yes.
one of the things that I noticed is that it's very long, very detailed.
Yes, it is.
And my thought is this, it's gonna be very difficult to get especially if the family member is ill, it's going to be very difficult to get them to sit down and really give thought to all of these areas because it requires that.
Yes.
Now I'm a big fan of buddy systems,
Okay.
and so I'm thinking that in terms of doing directives and these kinds of documents, that it's important that you get together with people that you trust and that you like and kind of make this a sharing event, because like I said, I don't know many people that even though it is required, it's necessary, it takes care of a lot of issues. I just don't know many people who are just going to sit at home and look at this and say, you know what, I'm just going to fill this out appropriately and have it ready for. So I'm thinking, because it is very comprehensive, which is good, that people take some time to maybe get together with a circle of friends or
family,
somebody that you trust, yes, to get this done, because it is a lot of information. It's a lot of personal revelation, and if people are ill when they do this, it's going to be really difficult. Even if you're feeling fantastic,
right? Well,
my suggestion is that this is something to really talk about, because this is a lot of information, and it's a lot of thought
Yeah,
that you may not, and thoughts that you may not even want to have. So
right.
because it is a very long process, my suggestion is to make it a lot easier to do. You know, get with somebody you love and trust and enjoy being with in order to fill this out, because it is a lot of personal information, a lot of revelation about yourself.
Right.
And just looking at it, I'm thinking, my goodness, I know I have not done all these things, but I know that it's important to do them. Otherwise, my life is left, you know, to others to make decisions about.
Right.
But I just want to say that because it's a very long document, it's probably good to do this with others, or have, you know how they have used to, a long time ago, they had princess house parties for crystal. So maybe, you know, it needs to be an event that you gather for and kind of do this thing, because it is very long,
Right.
and it's not the most exciting
Tough.
subject, but it's a necessary one.
Right.
So that would be my suggestion, is
Yeah, I
to,
agree. And also if you have, you know, you don't have to do it in one sitting. You can do some of it and then think about it, because there's some big decisions about your life
yes,
and what you know, what's going to happen if you become ill. And so it's very important that you make these decisions, but you don't make them in a hasteful manner, that you take the time to do it and do it properly. So that's important as well. Once again, I'm going to repeat, if you have questions, if you are interested in a document, wherever, whatever state you are, you can email me, as well as put the state that you're in and what information you're seeking, and we'll make sure that you get it. So let's move on. I'm going to stop the screen share now for this particular document. Hi, Ms. Miller, there you are. Can you,
Hi there.
can you see us now?
Yes, I can see you, but I can't see everyone else.
Really? That's so.
But at first, I saw the other lady when she was speaking.
Could you see?
But thank you so much.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Can you?
Go ahead.
Did you see the document that was on the screen?
I did. That was awesome. That was awesome. And you know what? I just want to comment on what you were saying. I want to piggyback on that, because it's so important that we get everything, get our house in order. You know how they say, get your house in order?
Yes.
That's just another part of it. That's just another part of those important papers that everyone needs to consider
Right.
and hopefully fill out prior to them becoming ill.
Okay.
So that's, you know, that's the most important thing, is that's why we need to have those talks
Right. Right.
that are important, because you don't want to wait until you get sick and you're unable to communicate.
Right.
But that's part of the, you know, part of getting the house in order that you want to get completed before that time does come.
Right. Right. That's important. So the next document we're going to go over is the power of attorney. Okay. Let me pull that document up and then we'll talk about it. Let's see. I have it here. Let me.
you know, the interesting thing that I noticed is that this document that we just looked at didn't have, I was wondering, that was going to be a question that I had, is why that directive didn't include power of attorney concerns in it.
Right. So some documents do, some don't. But this is a specific power of attorney. Okay. And the power of attorney that the one that the advanced directive, the one that we just did, is basically for healthcare matters. The ones that we're going to do now is basically for, I believe, financial matters. So let me get it on the screen and then we'll take a look at it. Okay. 1 second. Yeah, it's financial. That one was for healthcare. So there are two types of powers of attorney. One is for healthcare, and that's the one we just did. And then we're going to go over the one for financial matters, because that's another important piece of, you know, making decisions in legal matters as well. So one moment, let me get this document up. Okay, so every day is a learning experience with the Zoom. So,
I'm curious, the other ladies that are on screen with us, are they all from California? Or they, I know the one young lady said she's from North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Ladies,
are they from
you can
different
always stay
states?
unmuted, so don't feel like you got to stay muted, okay? You can be
California.
communicate
Oh, okay.
is great, okay? All right.
As in Southern or Northern?
Southern.
Oh, okay.
Southern
Where are
Cal.
you?
Yeah, I'm here in Southern California as well.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
So we got, is that Vanessa there? She's from what, South Carolina, North Carolina?
North Carolina.
So thank you for joining us tonight.
You're welcome.
So now we're going to go over we got two more documents to go over. This is the durable financial power of attorney. And so whenever you have a loved one, it doesn't matter how much money they have. They may just get a Social Security check monthly, or they may be receiving, they may have a lot of money, but whatever the case may be, you want to make sure that this document is completed. Because at some point or another, if they're unable to make decisions for themselves, somebody's going to have to pay their bills. Somebody's going to have to, handle their financial matters, make sure their rent is paid if they have rent, or their mortgage or whatever. They're going to have to take care of those things for you. And so it's very important that this information is, in place, or this document is in place. So let's go over the financial power of attorney. So as I said, there's two power of attorneys. One is for healthcare, one is for financial, and the one we went over first was for healthcare. This one is for the financial power of attorney. And we can also get it, whatever state you're in, we can get that document. And I believe this one will go across states, because it says state of, as you see there in the area in the beginning, okay? So now this is the durable financial power of attorney. You're gonna put the date in here, the principle of, I is the name of the person, the principle of, that's weird. What is it, of what? The principle of, thanks, state of California, Los Angeles. So the city is gonna go in this section, okay? And then the state of California. I'm just using our city and state as an example. And then hereby designate, let's see, Jane Doe of North Carolina to—
Well, the city, it'd be the city of Durham, that's South Carolina.
Okay, state of South Carolina. I'm using that state as my attorney in fact, hereinafter my attorney in fact, to act as initial below in my name, in my stead, and for my benefit, hereby revoking any and all financial powers of attorney I may have executed in the past. So now, when they start filling this document out, they're going to have to check the areas that they are interested in, you, whomever the person that's going to be designated is, what their legal responsibility is, what their power is for you, okay? So the effective date, choose the applicable paragraph by placing your initials in the preceding space. So that's basically there. Okay, so I grant my attorney, in fact, the power set forth within immediately, or you can do it if I'm unable to make decisions. So remember that both of these forms, they can take place immediately, or they can take place if I'm not able to make decisions for myself, okay? So you have to check one or the other. You cannot check them both. If you do, this form is null and void, okay? So it has to be A or B, okay? So now, these are the powers, the various areas that they would be able to make decisions. So if you're going down, looking at the powers of attorney, in fact, it starts, the first one is banking. So if you put your initials in that line, above that line there, then you are saying that this person can make decisions for my banking, okay? If you put it on the line with the safe deposit box, they'll be able to make decisions for my safe deposit box. Remember, the designation is if they'll do it immediately, either A or B. They'll do it immediately, or they'll do it after I'm not able to make decisions for myself, okay? Lending or borrowing, to make loans in my name. So if you have someone, if you have a substantial amount of money, they're gonna be borrowing money for you, making, financial decisions for you, maybe purchasing property for you, and all of those things. This is the area you would check for real estate, personal property, or other property of whatever nature and whatever whatever situation, okay? So you would put your initials there. And then it says government benefits. To apply for and receive any government benefits. Like say, for instance, that person is getting Social Security, if they're getting SSI, any of those things, you would be able to make decisions if they check that, if they not check it, but they put their initials in the line there before government benefits. Retirement plans, those are areas that you would want somebody to make decisions for you. IRA account, the power to change the beneficiaries. No, okay, let me back up. When you do this document, the retirement plan, if you check that box or check that over that line or put your initials on that line, you will not have the power to change their beneficiaries. And that is stated there, okay? The last line in that paragraph. You do not have the power to change beneficiaries. If you have the power to address and deal with their retirement plan, you do not have power to change the beneficiary of any of their retirement accounts. Okay, so that's important. Taxes, they can handle the taxes. They can get your taxes done for you if you put the initials on that line. Insurance matters. They can pay your insurance premiums, make claims on life, health, automobile, and homeowners insurance. So those are important things as well. And then real estate. Real estate matters. To acquire, purchase, exchange, lease, grant options, sell, and convey. They can make all the decisions regarding real estate matters, okay? If you put your initials on the next line, personal property, to acquire, purchase, exchange, lease, grant options, to sell and convey personal property, any of those things, you will have the option to do that. And it lists all the things, stocks, bonds, securities, and all of those things. The power to manage property. So to maintain and repair, say for instance, the person who you're going to be handling their affairs has some property that they own, then you would have the power to manage that property, to make repairs, to invest, to rent or lease, whatever options, you know, that you would need to make for them, you would be able to do that once they initial on that line. Gifts, to make gifts or grants or transfers, forgiveness or indebtedness. So you would be able to accept charitable gifts for them or even make charitable donations for them as well. And so that needs to be initialed as well. Legal advice and proceedings, to obtain and pay for legal advice. So if that person needs an attorney, say for instance, they have a lot of money and they need some legal matters handled or anything like that, you would be able to make those legal decisions once they initial on this line. Okay, special instructions. So anything else. So say for instance, I have some other things that I want, you know, legally for my loved one or my family member to have, you know, privy to or to make decisions for, then I would write it on these special instructions and write detailed, you know, what that would be. But if you do not fill this section out, you must write none, because they want to make sure that nobody comes along and writes something in there that you didn't, you know, agree to because it was left blank. They filled out their own wishes in there. So you want to be very careful of that, okay? All right, so let's see. Authority of attorney in fact. Any party dealing with my attorney in fact hereunder may rely absolutely on the authority. So this basically is saying that the person who is designated has the authority either immediately, or if I'm not able to make decisions, remember A and B at the top, those are the two things will determine if it's immediate or if it's at some point or another. Liability of attorney in fact, my attorney in fact should not incur any liability. So in other words, say for instance, you've designated me to be your person to make decisions, then I won't incur any liability if someone tries to sue you or sue that person. Like say for instance, Mrs. Carolyn, you are the person that's filling this out as the attorney in fact. In other words, you're the person that's going to make decisions for me because I can't make decisions for myself. And somebody comes along and they try to sue me and they try to get to you and sue you too. They can't sue you. They can only sue me or sue my estate.
Right.
So just wanted to bring that up. Reimbursements of attorney in fact. And if that person is designated, and they are making decisions for me, then they should have some type of pay for it. So it's okay to pay the person who's making decisions. So a lot of times people feel like, oh, it's my family, I don't want to get paid for it, but you're doing a job, really. And so it's really important that you compensate yourself, not overly compensate, but make sure that your needs are met as well. Because if you,
A good rule of I've been told to follow in these instances where compensation is it should, if it's not absolute, but it should be necessary, is to use the same process that a conservatorship, when you go to court
right,
and they appoint a conservator over your estate.
right,
You can get the fees and stuff from your local area, and they say that this is a good rule
mhm,
to follow in terms of compensation. Is
right,
what court systems determine for people who are conservators in someone's life. But they get paid for that as if it's a job. So this is the same kind of matter,
yeah,
and the suggestion is that you use the same fee process
right, right.
used by the court.
I have a question about that.
Yes.
I have this document for my dad who lives in Ohio. My brother and myself were both his power of attorneys,
Okay.
and I live in North Carolina. If I have to fly to Ohio, it's okay for me to use his funds to do that since I'm going to
To
take
do
care of
his
things for him?
business.
You're going to take care of his business?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, yeah, you would do, yeah, it's okay to do that. And make sure that if you are doing that type of thing, that you are keeping receipts, and you're
Mhm.
keeping track of things, because you never know when someone might, question it. And so if some,
Okay.
say for instance, another family member or somebody, oh, she's using his money, then
Uh-huh.
you want to make sure that you are covered. So you would make
Okay.
sure that you have receipts to show this is what I spent and this is what I did. I went to go
Okay.
take care of my dad. He's in another state. I went to go make sure that all of his, things were taken care of. And so just make
Okay.
sure that you keep proof for not only your purpose, but for any governing entity like Adult Protective Services or any
Right.
agency of that sort that will come along
Okay.
and have a question about it. Make sure you cover.
Okay.
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 All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so now let's go on. Reimbursement of attorney in fact. Amendment and revocation. I can amend or revoke this power of attorney through a writing delivered to my attorney in fact. Any amendment or revocation is ineffective as to a third party until such third party has notice of such revocation or amendment. In other words, this document can be canceled at any time if the person who has given the attorney in fact or the power to you, they can cancel it as well. Now that's of course if they have sound mind to do so. So now if you have a situation where your loved one is not of sound mind and they have already done this paperwork prior to them getting to a point where they cannot make decisions for themselves. And I had one lady at a hospital I was working in. She was in the hospital, and when I talked to her, she sounded like she was fine, okay? But somebody had gone to court and gotten paperwork to say that she couldn't make decisions for herself. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I'm thinking, oh, this lady could make decisions. This is my thought as a social worker. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, okay? So I'm like, okay, she can make decisions for herself in my eyes, but the court thought differently. But she was in the process of getting that changed. And when I talked with the legal people, the court people, it was like, they weren't going to change it. So it was really a strange situation because in my eyes, she was able to make her own decisions. Now, they might not have been the best decisions, but I felt like she was cognizant to a point where she could make decisions. And I'm saying that to say that if someone is making decisions that are really off base, even though they might talk like they're okay, and you're concerned about it, you can always get their doctor, get a capacity declaration from their doctor. That's your go-to person.
But there's also a fee for that, though. You have to pay for it. It's not free. Sometimes, I guess, if you have a great relationship with the doctor, maybe they'll administer the test, but there is a fee for them to be, for what their capacity is to be determined. There is a fee.
It depends on the insurance, because if a person has like Medicare and Medi-Cal, they likely won't have to pay a fee, because if that person is considered low income, they will not
Well,
have.
no, I'm not just talking about because I had a relative that went through this who was very wealthy, but when it was time to determine whether her state of mind was clear, she had to pay for it, because I think she may have just only had Medicare and private insurance.
Wasn't low income.
No.
And I'm shocked, because I've never had, I've had, well, maybe when I was working in the skilled nursing facility, because we've asked the doctors to do capacity declarations for a patient that we've had, but they never told us that. So I guess they would just do it.
Yes, and sometimes that's true, but they can charge, and it can start at around $250. So,
oh my goodness, that's a lot.
especially here in the state of California.
Right. So if you're in another state, you have a question about it, let us know, or we'll definitely get the information from you. Type your comment in the chat. Let me know, send your email and what information you're seeking, and we'll make sure we get it to you. Okay. So yes, ma'am. Are you on the mute? You're muted.
I have to run.
Okay.
Okay.
So thank you.
We'll see you, and send that information. We'll see you next week.
I sure will. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Okay.
Take care. Have a good weekend.
All right, you too. So now we're almost near the end of this document. We're going to go down. Let's see. State law. This power of attorney is governed by the state. So this is the legalization of the document now. There's going to be signing. It can be, I don't think this can be witnessed. I think this document, let's see, I think it can be witnessed by two people. Yes, it can.
Yes.
So same as the advanced directive, the previous document, it can be witnessed by two people. And the people who are witnessing, again, cannot be the decision makers, and all of those areas apply. And also the document can also be notarized as well, okay, to make it legal. So now we're going to go down. I think this is the end of this document. I want to get to the last document, because this document to me is the most important. And it's called a DNR, do not resuscitate. So we're going to go ahead and get into this document. We're about an hour in, so we're okay still with the timing. So I'm going to stop the screen share. Any questions or comments about this document? If you do, type it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself if you want to talk about it.
You said this one is the same across states, correct?
You can use this one in other states, yes, because it's not for the state of California, it's any state for this one.
Because it does look similar to the one that I have. I have financial and medical power of attorney over my dad.
Well,
Okay.
if you have one, you can use the one you have, but this one is open where you can put any state in it and city in it. So the first one was California, but we could still get it for your state if you need it, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing this document, and then I'm going to go to the last document, which is the DNR, do not resuscitate. And this document reflects, if you stop breathing, what you would want to happen, okay? And so it's called a physician's order for life-sustaining treatment. Give me just a second here with my technical team here. And I will get it shared on the screen. Where is it? At the bottom now? Sometimes it's at the bottom, sometimes it's at the top. Oh, shucky. Okay. Let's see. Share. That one. Okay. All right. So now you should be able to see this document. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that's the wrong document. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's the one we just saw.
Right. Okay, stop sharing that one. Let's see.
I just, in terms of time, do you think this will be longer than 15 minutes, this presentation?
No, no, it shouldn't be. It won't be.
Okay.
Okay. So now I got it. So this one is pretty short and explicit. So give me just a second and I will, it went away again. Okay, there we go. Now, all right. So now this is what you call the physician's order for life-sustaining treatment. It is always hot pink. It is the document that's called the DNR, do not resuscitate. So if a person or your loved one has this document filled out, it will determine if they want to be intubated. When I say intubated, like say for instance, they're not able to breathe on their own, they would have a tube down their throat to breathe for them. So this document is needs to be completed. The name, the information for the patient is here at the top. And then we go down and it says, would you want a attempt the resuscitation or CPR? Or in section A there, do not attempt resuscitation or DNR. Okay. DNR means do not resuscitate. So you would check one of these boxes and that would determine the rest of the filling out of this form. So if you check box number, the first box where it says attempt this resuscitation or CPR, you must fill out section B, which will give additional information as to what type of treatment you would want. So you would determine if you would want full treatment, selective treatment, comfort-focused treatment. So all of those things are defined. The full treatment is a primary goal of prolonging life by all medically means necessary. And then the selective treatment is a goal of treating medical conditions while avoiding burdensome measures. And then comfort-focused treatment is primary goal of maximizing comfort. So those are one of the three of these you would need to complete if you check that first box where it says attempt resuscitation or CPR. If you check the do not attempt resuscitation DNR, then you will allow natural death. You don't have to fill out this section B. And then you would also need to fill out section C. And this determines artificially administered nutrition. In other words, would you want to be fed by a G tube, a feeding tube that we talked about earlier? Would you want a trial period of artificial nutrition? In other words, would you want them to feed you for 6 months by tube and then no longer? Or if you would want no artificial means of nutrition, including feeding tubes. So this is another area that needs to be completed. And then offer food by mouth if you're able to, of course. And that depends on the patient's ability. And then section D, information and signatures. You would discuss with the patient. Now this is, the doctor has to sign this document for it to be legal, okay? No other way around it. It has to be signed by a doctor or a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant for it to be legal. If you sign it yourself as the person or the patient, and you fill out the bottom here where it says print name here in the signature area, if you fill this part out and there is no signature here where the doctor signs, it is not a legal document, okay? So it can be completely filled out, no document, no doctor's signature, not legal. Okay, so remember that it has to be signed by a physician. Information and signatures discussed with the patient. The doctor has to fill this part out to say if he discussed it with you, and then he or she will sign it and date it, and the date that it's signed is the date that it becomes active. And then this is this end of the form basically. And then this is the doc. And so there's a second page to this form. I'm going to share that right quick so you'll be able to see that. One moment. And then we'll be done, okay? Do you have any questions? Please let me know. Let's see. Page 2. Okay.
I'm sitting here tearing up over that form because,
Really?
yeah, because I got on this Zoom thinking that my mother just moved in with me, and oh, I'm sorry,
Go
and
ahead.
she has dementia,
Okay.
and so I get on the call thinking that this is going to be helpful with me for her.
Okay.
And then I'm thinking about my dad, you know, the power of attorney. And my dad is in Ohio. He has mental issues. And I was just home. I just came back to Charlotte, North Carolina on Tuesday evening.
Okay.
And he has mental issues, and he's not caring for himself properly, and I suggested he go to therapy. He doesn't want to do that, to talk to a psychiatrist or whatever. And the other alternative is to go to a mental hospital to get help. But this is not the time for that because of the COVID.
Right.
And I was so close to doing that at the beginning of the year, trying to put him in a hospital so he can get help. But then that's when the COVID struck. And I thought, it was a blessing from God that I didn't do it, because had I done that back in February or March, he could have caught COVID and possibly died.
Right.
So
Right.
he's at home alone.
Oh, he is.
He gets meals. I pay all of his bills. His ex-wife comes over and she cooks for him and she brings him food and stuff like that. But mentally, he's not the man that he used to be.
Okay.
He's not bathing. He's not cleaning the house. He's not, he doesn't leave the house unless he has a doctor's appointment. And
Okay.
he tries to fight that. He doesn't even want to go to the doctor. So I'm just thinking, if he doesn't have a DNR form.
Mhm.
But I'm just thinking the guilt that you would feel, that I would feel if something were to happen to him and I said, no, don't resuscitate. Like you said with your mother, they wanted to give her the morphine drip.
Right.
Had you said, go ahead and do that, I'm just
Can't
thinking of the
agree with
guilty
myself.
feeling. She lived 6 more months after that.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So it's so hard because I have my mother here and I'm trying to help her,
Mhm.
through her dementia. And then I have my dad in Ohio, and I have stress from both ends,
Okay.
and it's driving me crazy.
Okay.
But this
You
has been
know,
helpful just to see what's out there and what we need to do going forward.
and that's one of the reasons that Dr. Yvette started this, is because caregivers need information
No.
and help as well.
Yeah.
Yes,
And this is why what she is doing is such important work, is because the person in the middle, they don't get noticed because they just handle the business.
right.
And so it is important for you, Vanessa. I think that's what I'm seeing on
Yes.
my screen.
Uh-huh.
It's important for you to stop for a moment and think about yourself
Yeah.
in
Hmm.
in this situation, because you're like a sandwich. You're the main
Yes.
portion of the sandwich. And
Yes.
so if you're
Stuck in the
going
middle.
to, I'm sorry,
I said she's stuck in the middle. She has both
yes,
Yeah.
one's in the back. The really hard part is that one's not in the state with her, and that makes
yes.
Right.
it more difficult. Vanessa, I
Right.
would like to help you. Let's talk about it after this and see what I can
Okay.
help you, because I've been you. Okay, I didn't have
Okay.
both parents,
Yes.
but I had one, and a lot of times when you become a caregiver, you are thrown in there. You have no
Hmm.
clue about what to do.
Yeah.
Who's my go-to person? I didn't have.
Yes.
I learned
Okay.
every day what I'm sharing with other people now. So it's important.
Okay.
Okay. If
Okay.
you to let's see, I can give you the website, or I can reach out to you. We can connect. I have your email in the chat. I saw you put it in there. Do you
Yeah.
want some additional information in the chat, or you can email me, or I can email you,
Okay.
which is best for
Well,
you.
we can talk after this if you have a few minutes.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So let's finish this form.
Okay.
So now we have the second page of the DNR, the POLST, the Physician's Order for Life-Sustaining Treatment. And basically on this second page, it has the patient's name, last name, first name, middle initial, date of birth, gender, and then the person who signed that form should fill this part out here as well. And then additional contact person would be, like, say for instance, the next of kin. Like if it's your husband, then it would be the wife. So whoever would be contacted with this form would be the person that would go in that section there. And then as you go down, it gives some information on how you complete the document. And then at the end, that's it. So this is the end of the document. But this document is critical because if your loved one stops breathing, then they are going to resuscitate by law if this document is not in place. Now that's California law. I don't know what the laws are in Charlotte, North Carolina, but we can always find out. Or
Okay.
Ohio, wherever your dad is or whomever. But what I'm saying,
Okay.
California law, If a person stops breathing and there is no POLST in place and no next of kin to make decisions, then they have to resuscitate. They cannot just
Okay.
make a decision, not unless the doctor sometime can do this document without the patient and fill it out.
Okay.
But you know, I guess the other part to that, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the other part to that is, you were talking about the situation with your mom. If a person has signed this do not resuscitate, it kind of helps making the decision easy, because if they've made a decision to not have resuscitation,
Right.
then you don't have to bear the blame.
Right, right.
That's the important reason for having them to take care of the matter, because you don't have to wonder if you made the right decision.
Right, but a lot of times, some people don't want to make that decision, and they say, "Well, I'm gonna let my daughter make it. I'm gonna let them do it." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They haven't even done it, and they might say they want to do it, but they don't do it, and then you still stuck making that decision. So you have to do what's best for you, Vanessa, and
Okay.
because you got to live too. You know,
Yeah.
that's
Mm-hmm.
why I decided to give Mama that G2, because I was like, don't just give her no morphine drip, because I got to live with myself after that. So
Right.
I decided
Right.
to not do that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
So that's basically it. Those of you who are listening in, let me just tell you, Caregiver Chronicles is a 16-module online course from all areas of caregiving. It goes from your loved one's onset of the illness all the way until they transition or they recover or transition home to be with the Lord. We also have private consultations where you can meet with me and talk with me about how we can support you in your caregiver journey. So I thank you all for joining us tonight. Vanessa, I thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you.
To reach out, we'll talk more about how I can help you and your family. If you would like, I can help you develop your Caregiver Chronicles, okay? God bless you.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us
Thank
tonight.
you.
Vanessa, you want to email me, or how you want to do this so we can talk?
Um,
What's best for you?
well, can we stay on for a few minutes and just
Yeah,
chat?
I
Or
can
do
stop
you,
the recording too, so we can stop the
okay.
recording. Okay, thank you. God bless you.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a good evening. Take care.
Okay. Thank you, Carolyn.
All right.
Nice meeting you, Vanessa.
You too.
Stop this recording now.